The federal trial of Ghislaine Maxwell is underway in New York. Maxwell is accused of being the accomplice of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, helping him run a sex trafficking ring. Victims have said it was Maxwell who lured them in, built trust, and ultimately handed them over to Epstein to be sexually abused.
This is really unusual in that it's the first case we're really seeing where a woman who was really one of the chief enablers, who was part of the inner circle of a sexual predator, is actually on trial.
For a lot of people, this is the trial they wanted against Mr. Epstein. The justice they had wanted to see done through Mr. Epstein, they can't because he killed himself. And so there is, I think, a lot of intense interest now on this trial.
The government has charged Maxwell with 6 counts related to sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy for allegedly recruiting young girls for Epstein.
The government does want to sort of summon the anger and outrage that will be in the minds of a lot of people as they hear the evidence about things Mr. Epstein did, but they also need to really just keep the focus as much as they can on Ms. Maxwell so that she's not able to take advantage of an argument that really she's just a tiny player in all of this.
But how does the government prove grooming, a term with no legal definition? In a case relying heavily on testimony from victims, the government's main strategy has been to bolster those claims with fact witnesses.
Which is really tough in these cases. We're talking about charges that go back quite a long time. And fundamentally, in so many sex crime cases, it really is 2 people behind closed doors. Here, obviously, there were sometimes more people, but certainly one is already dead. And so it's always a challenge for prosecutors in these types of cases to try and build that out.
Some of the ambiguity around acts that can be considered grooming will work for her defense in the sense that she'll be able to argue that conduct like going shopping, having tea, things of that nature where there was no sexual kind of component at all that she did not understand was grooming. I think more challenging for the defense, obviously, will be conduct that is alleged against Ms. Maxwell where she's accused of being privy to sexualized conversations. That will, I think, be easier for the jury to understand as inappropriate and potentially grooming.
Maxwell's defense has attempted a dual strategy to both maintain her innocence and discredit victims, the youngest of whom was just 14 at the time.
On the one hand, the defense is, I'm not Jeffrey Epstein, that she's a different person and she shouldn't be tainted with his crimes. But on the other hand, some of the witnesses the government has called do fairly directly implicate her in Jeffrey Epstein's sexual crimes and other sexual misconduct. And so that then leaves the defense really with no choice but to try to challenge the credibility of some of those witnesses.
Maxwell's trial is expected to last through January of 2022.
Each of her charges carries significant prison time. So if she were convicted of all of these counts, there is the potential that she would be spending decades at least in prison.